The email arrived at 7:03 a.m. sharp. Subject line sterile. Command transfer notice urgent. Lauren Bishop blinked twice before clicking it open. In 3 clinical paragraphs, it detailed that her planned recon op in northern Kunar, something she'd led planning on for 6 straight weeks, was now being coordinated under a joint oversight command. Effective immediately, she would report her operational plan to Captain Ethan Bishop, her brother. She stared at the screen, a cold weight settling in her gut. Again. He wasn't even part of her unit. He'd been stationed 2 provinces over just 2 months ago, but somehow he'd been inserted, again, into her space, her work, her visibility. She'd spent half a decade building her credibility in silence, making precise calls, holding lives together in dense mountain terrain. And still, he appeared, confident, charming, untouched by the mud she lived in daily. By 1100 hours, he was there, walking into the operations tent with that casual swagger, a coffee cup in one hand, and a half smile that had always meant one thing. "This is my stage." "Lieutenant Bishop," Ethan drawled, eyes sweeping the room, then landing squarely on her. "Still doing the sneaky stuff in the bushes, huh?" Lauren nodded, stiff. "Captain Bishop, welcome to Recon." He clapped her back a little too hard, then turned to the table like he owned it. "Just here to coordinate strategy, but if we're serious about flushing that compound, we need to move the timetable up, hit them at night before they scatter." She frowned, standing over the satellite photos she'd been poring over. "We wait for the Euro 145 satellite pass. That's what gives us thermal overlays. Without it, we're blind." Ethan leaned back, confident. "Sometimes speed is the intel. We move now, we catch them disoriented." Lauren kept her voice steady. "And if it's a trap, we lose people." There was a pause. Quiet, but loaded. "You've always been too careful," he said finally, and there it was, the line that followed her through childhood, school, even basic. Ethan, bold, dazzling, the firstborn golden boy. Lauren, quiet, exacting, forgettable. She wanted to shout, "Careful is why I still have people to command." But all she did was close the folder, pick up the mission tablet, and say, "We'll bring it up in the briefing." That night she didn't sleep. She reviewed contingencies alone while Ethan dined with the liaison team. She caught a passing glance of their father in Ethan's latest promotion photo on the wall of the tent. A hard smile, proud. The same look he wore when Lauren brought home her first commendation, and he didn't even hang it up. The next morning, her XO Diaz whispered, "They're pushing for the night op, from top down." Lauren hesitated. "We're not ready." He looked at her gently. "They don't care." By 2200 hours, she gave the green light. Her voice didn't shake, but her spine did. At 22:43, the team hit ground. 3 squads. Fan spread. Lauren led point. The forest was deathly still. A flicker, a shadow, not theirs. The explosion ripped through the trees like thunder unzipped. The rest was blood, screams, silence. Lauren survived. 2 of her men did not. And somewhere in the middle of it all, she realized, someone knew they were coming. And when? She sat in the mud, hands trembling, listening to nothing but her breath, and one phrase echoing in her skull. "You've always been too careful." But she hadn't been careful enough. If you've ever been overlooked after giving everything you had, type 1. The report hit her desk like a verdict. Preliminary findings. Failure to adhere to operational protocol. Lieutenant Lauren Bishop. Lauren scanned the document in silence. 2 names, Sergeant King and Corporal Mejia, both marked KIA. 3 others listed WIA. Every sentence in the report was a scalpel, carving blame with surgical precision. Not one mention of Captain Ethan Bishop, not one footnote about the command timeline being altered under his pressure, and still, the ink was fresh with her name. Later that afternoon, the inquiry began in a windowless room with white walls and colder eyes. 3 officers across the table, 1 silent observer in the corner. No warmth, just uniforms and questions. "Lieutenant Bishop, who authorized the change in timeline for Operation Greylight?" Lauren kept her voice even. "Captain Bishop proposed the adjustment based on strategic urgency." "Did he issue a formal order?" "No, sir, he advised it." So the final decision rested with you? Yes. That yes sat like a grenade in her throat. The pause after was long enough to drown in. They didn't say it, but she saw it in their eyes. You pulled the trigger. Own it. The next day, Lauren was suspended from field command, pending full review. She still wore her uniform, still saluted. But her shadow no longer meant anything in that hallway. Officers passed her with downcast eyes, some out of pity, others out of silent agreement with the unspoken narrative. She failed. She wasn't ready. She cracked. Her father didn't even wait 48 hours before weighing in. She walked through the front door of her childhood home, duffel bag still on her shoulder, and saw him sitting in his recliner, polishing the corner of Ethan's newest framed promotion photo. He looked up once. You made a bad call. I didn't make it alone, she replied. You were in charge. 4 words. No comfort, no hesitation. Her mother hovered in the kitchen, eyes glassy, hands twisting a towel. She said nothing. Lauren stepped forward. Mom? Her mother looked down. It's a stain, Lauren. The uniform doesn't forget. That night, Lauren lay in her childhood bedroom, staring at the same ceiling that had once muffled her dreams. No one knocked. No one sat beside her. The silence became a sound all its own. The next morning, she found a white envelope on the kitchen counter, her name written in her mother's neat cursive. For a second, hope flickered. A letter? A quiet apology? She opened it. An invitation. Promotion ceremony. Captain Ethan Bishop to Major, no message. No warmth. Just time, location, dress code. Lauren wanted to tear it in half. Instead, she folded it back into the envelope and walked out the door. She went. Maybe it was self-torture. Maybe it was defiance. But she went. Uniform pressed, shoes polished. Hair tied like her father always said, looked sharp. At the venue entrance, a young officer scanned the guest list. Name? Lieutenant Lauren Bishop. Pause. Frown. Finger down the list again. I'm sorry, ma'am. You're not listed. I have an invitation, she said, holding it out. If you're not on the list, I can't let you in. She looked through the glass doors, her parents, laughing with cousins, her mother adjusting Ethan's tie, her father glowing with pride. Lauren nodded once. Forget it. She turned and walked away, not from a building, but from every last thread of family that had never learned to see her. If you've ever been blamed while the real culprit walked away clean, type 2. The message came encrypted, high priority, subject line blinking in red. Invitation, 12th Infantry Division Anniversary Ceremony, distinguished commendations to be awarded. Lauren Bishop didn't move for several seconds. The screen glowed silently in her dimly lit quarters. She clicked. There it was, her name listed among the top-ranking guests. General Lauren Bishop, guest of honor. Her breath caught in her chest. It had been 8 years since she walked away from that promotion hall, not just forgotten, but erased. And now, the same division that had buried her reputation was asking her to stand in the spotlight. She scrolled down. Colonel Arthur Bishop, Major Ethan Bishop, her father, her brother, both attending. It wasn't a coincidence, it was a reckoning. Lauren arrived early, uniform immaculate, each ribbon precisely aligned. The stars on her collar gleamed, not as symbols of pride, but as proof of survival. The venue was grander than she remembered. Converted armory now bathed in soft lighting, banners of every regiment lining the steel beams. People noticed her. A former lieutenant from her first deployment nearly dropped his drink. A retired admiral she once briefed stood up straighter. No one asked why she was here. Her uniform answered for her. At the far end, a screen scrolled through the honorees. Her name was at the top. She wanted to laugh, because for all the years they left her off the list, she was now the list. The ceremony began, polished and cold as always. Commendations, salutes, claps that barely warmed the room. Then the host stepped up. Tonight, we honor a name that once nearly vanished, and rose instead, a soldier whose command was never loud, but always unwavering. Please welcome General Lauren Bishop. Applause didn't just ripple, It rose. Standing ovation. Not all stood, but enough to make it echo. Lauren stepped forward. She hadn't planned to speak, but silence now would feel like surrender. At the podium, she scanned the room. She found them. Her father, rigid, lips pressed tight. Her mother, hands clasped as if praying. Ethan, standing still, blinking as if unsure this wasn't some waking nightmare. "I wasn't supposed to be here," she said. Her voice was clear, even. "That's the truth." A pause. Eyes shifted toward Ethan. Whispers. "Years ago, I stood outside a ceremony like this, in the same uniform, and was told I wasn't on the list. She let that land, let them remember. I walked away, from a building, from people who believed I had failed, but not from myself." She raised her eyes. "I didn't come back to be redeemed. I came back because I rebuilt myself, quietly, relentlessly. I didn't ask for revenge, I asked for my place." The room was silent now, no shifting, no coughing, just stillness. This metal doesn't erase what happened. It recognizes who I became despite it. Applause again. But this time she didn't smile. She stepped back. After the ceremony, people approached. Cadets, veterans, women in uniform with tears in their eyes. One whispered, "You're why I stayed." But she was waiting for the ones who came last. They stood in the hallway. Her father was the first to speak. "Lauren, not general, not ma'am, just her name." "You didn't tell us," he said. "You didn't ask," she replied. Her mother stepped in, voice soft. "We didn't know how to believe you." "I didn't need belief," Lauren said. "I needed backup." Ethan stepped forward. His voice cracked. "I didn't mean for it to happen. That night, it spiraled." "No," she said steady. "You let it." He went quiet. No defense left. "I don't hate you," she added, "but I won't forget." She stepped closer, calm but firm. "You once said I was too careful. Turns out that's exactly why I'm still standing." Then she smiled, not kindly, not cruelly, just enough to make it clear they could never bury her again. If you've ever risen in silence while others tried to erase you, type 3.